So we just finished our high CNS session, focusing on the force velocity profile, some tissue work and some hypertrophy. Keith has had a protein shake, had some carbs for any nutritionists out there, so we started the recovery process. So we're going to do a reflection. So basically, how did that session feel throughout?
It felt great, yeah. It was really enjoyable doing those Anderson squats, that's what they call them. Because usually when I am doing squats, I have to lower up the bar so much, it takes so much time, and that felt like not even a quarter of the weight, and I'm getting the same kind of intent and sweat out of it, and I really enjoyed that. And then obviously it's always good to finish off with a nice pump at the end, like so. Yeah.
You've got a manager approach your work. So essentially you're very strong, so getting to your, say, a set of 3 for squats may take like what, 20-30 minutes?
Yeah, a lot of time there, because I obviously want to get good breaks in between, don't want to get hurt, like so.
Yeah.
It takes honestly about 25 minutes for just 4 sets of heavy squats, like so.
And then, like as we're talking about your bar speed, like you may be almost like stuck in the middle because it's so heavy.
Yeah.
So it was a nice change.
Yeah, no, it was a nice change, and then some of the hamstring work was good. Those are really nice, and obviously we have the sliders then if I don't have them in my gym, but you know they help a lot because obviously we're running a lot between both sports, like so.
And I know 2023 you tore your hamstring as well, so you like to get a lot of work done.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So they'll be going in.
You kind of know it's in the bank. You can go full tilt if you make a line break. You're doing the work now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because maybe 2023 you weren't.
No, definitely not. Yeah, not to this degree anyway. So.
Yeah. So it felt good as well. Like it didn't take long to warm up for the Anderson squats.
Yeah, 100%. The jumps, I really enjoyed the jumps as well. It's hard to get them in during team sessions and stuff. So it's nice to come in here and do that as well.
Yeah. So overall, really enjoyable.
Yeah, really enjoyable.
Yeah. And you don't think the 20 minutes yesterday affected you too much?
No, not too much. Yeah. We cut down a bit when we needed to, and I was getting a few extra reps in when I needed to as well, which is good.
So positive overall?
Yeah, 100%.
We just keep overloading?
Yeah.
Deadly. So in terms of observation, what did you notice about that training session? Was it different to what you usually do?
Yeah, no, 100%. Again, we talked about it already with the squats or bench press. I'm in here for like an hour and a half lifting, and like it was good. We got through the warm up in 5 minutes or so, like it was quick. And usually it takes a lot longer for me because I have to bench and stuff like that. And then of course a lot of variety exercises. Usually I'm kind of sticking with the RDLs, squats, bench, flat out, like so. It's good to get a nice little variety and stuff like that. So,
So like a normal session for you last season could have been squat, RDL, bench, whereas our block 1 had 4 exercises just in block 1. So you enjoyed that?
You know, it was very, very nice. And I was going to ask you, is it okay that I be taking kind of 10 to 20 seconds in between each?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's we're trying to get that post-activation potentiation as we were discussing, but you need to feel like your breathing isn't really high. So taking 10, 20 seconds is fine in between exercises. So anything else, like in terms of you felt? I noticed the first round you were breathing a bit heavy. We kind of cut a few jumps short. Can talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I noticed. Probably maybe because the match yesterday, the 20 minutes I played, and I was getting kind of in the first set there with those dumbbell jumps. I felt like the last 2 reps were kind of, I wasn't using that power as much.
Grindy.
Yeah, I was just kind of hustling it out. So, and then that's where I kind of said I'd make up for it in the last set, kind of with those extra big jumps.
Yeah. So as you know, power, like it's never grindy. It's really, really fast. Bar speed or jump speed. So that's really important for you if you're training by yourself. So one thing I want to touch on as well, you didn't feel like you were missing the heavy back squat. You still felt like you were getting that force, that strength training in.
Oh, you know, nearly like after like my legs were nearly felt like jelly after the jumps, like the same as they would doing heavy squats. So I'm not missing that either. Like.
And you didn't have that 150 kilos on your back.
Yeah, no, not so much
pressure about that sometimes. Yeah. So it's about cycling that in and out. So last thing I suppose, I think from an athlete's perspective, from the coaches, we kind of forget like just the novelty of doing something new.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really refreshing session.
And you may train it more intent then.
Yeah. Just something new, and like now coming in here next week, I'm looking forward to doing it because it's not as much of a squat today. Like.
You're not dreading a heavy squat. 100%. So essentially, we need to vary it more as coaches.
Yeah. It's nice.
Don't always stick to the script.
Exactly.
100%. Brilliant stuff. So for being a little bit analytical, I suppose, do you understand the why behind what we're doing? Because there's lots of literature and personal experience. If athletes know the why they train more intent, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
You know, I kind of get it. There's a few kind of questions I had around it. Those Anderson squats, I remember we said it while we were doing the set, like they did feel slightly light. I was kind of like, I could go a bit heavier Why? Can you explain why?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, you're so used to lifting kind of in that heavy 85 to 100% 1RM realm, which is really, really good as well. But again, we were chatting about we want to produce force, but for sport specifically, as we're transitioning into that pre-season, in-season, we want to produce that force really, really quickly. Because it's no good if you make a line break if you're really, really strong, but you can't produce that force into the ground quickly. So essentially, we're mimicking the sport. Your best quality is your explosiveness. You're moving from the front row to the back row for that reason. So we can get you in the back line, making more line breaks, carrying the ball. So we need you to be really, really fast in your force production. So that's why the Anderson squats are so good, because you're producing force really, really quickly, but you're also producing force, Keith, without any elastic returns. That's why, I don't know if you remembered, we paused for 3 seconds. Do you know why we paused for 3 seconds?
No, I wouldn't.
Not really. So when you lengthen a muscle, it recalls really, really fast. It's called the stretch shortening cycle. We want to remove that so you can produce force, overcoming inertia, essentially from nothing, which is going to improve your first step when you're scrummaging as well, if you do play a little bit in the front row.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
And then another thing I had was, instead of the row machine for the hamstrings, why couldn't I just do a seated
hamstring curl? Yeah, both are really good, but I think we discussed it when we were training. As your knee extends, it's getting harder and harder because the lever arm, the moment arm is increasing. So when we're sprinting, most injuries occur during that terminal swing phase when I'm about to hit the ground. So without getting too sciencey, the hamstring deaccelerates this tibia bone, and that's where we get a lot of our strains. So if you think about the hamstring curl on the rowing machine, when's it hardest? Here.
Yeah.
And when do we get hurt sprinting? Here. So that's the exact reason. So hamstring curls seated are great. Rowing machine is a bit more specific to you with that hamstring tear in 2023, and because you're hitting 9 meters per second, so we're just prepping those tissues essentially.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So, any switches you want to make, any alternatives, or are we happy enough?
No, it was good, especially I know last week we did trap bar jumps instead of dumbbell. I much rather enjoyed that because I didn't feel stuck. I feel a bit stuck in the trap bar.
Yeah.
So switching from that to the dumbbells, I felt a bit that I could do a bit more.
You just concentrate on the jump, not stabilizing a big long trap bar.
Yeah, no, I felt way better.
Yeah, that was really good. You texted me last week. That's the communication we want, just to tweak things over time. So.
And then another thing is, I kind of heard that broad jumps helps a bit of acceleration. I was just wondering
why all our jumps are vertical.
Yeah.
So just on your sprint profile from pre-season, your acceleration is your best phase.
Yeah.
So we want to focus more on max velocity. So if you think about when you're accelerating, you're kind of leaning forward. At max speed, you're nice and tall and vertical, and you're pushing straight down. So that's why the pogo jumps, the bandits, the depth jumps, it was more vertical emphasis. Not because the broad jumps aren't important, and we'll get them on our pitch sessions, but because your acceleration is so strong, your max speed's lacking a little bit. I don't know if you notice when you make line breaks, you're gone, and sometimes they catch you. So that's why we're doing vertical emphasis. So we'll stick with the dumbbell jump squats even when you're doing your pitch session or your team sessions. You just grab some dumbbells if they're doing a team, and then don't worry, we'll incorporate the broad jumps come when the season starts.
Perfect.
Awesome. So in terms of actions and takeaways, apologies, what would you like to actually change next week now that we've had this debrief and discussion?
I understand why we do the power stuff first because I'm fresh and stuff, but I was wondering on the hamstring exercises. I'd rather get the pump in.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm moving to back row, so I want to kind of build a lot of muscle, and the hamstring stuff isn't too taxing. So I was just wondering why can't I do the hypertrophy first? Or could we look into
there's no reason not. I know it's important because you're going to the back row. You want to get bigger, and you probably want to hit that hypertrophy work a bit fresher and not do it last. So if you want, I'm happy to put the hamstring work last and put the hypertrophy work in block B instead of block C. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because it's I don't get tired from that, so
100%.
Yeah, I want to put emphasis on the hypertrophy work.
Just so you know, when we're not together, you always do the power work first when you're fresh, and then you can go hypertrophy and then do tissue. So yeah, that's what we'll change next week. That's good with you.
Perfect. Thanks.
Awesome. Brilliant. So on the alternatives, anything else you'd like to tweak?
One thing about the banded jumps, that's what they're called. You know, when I'm putting it under my armpits, you can be slightly uncomfortable there. Is there any other way of kind of switching that around?
It's not hurting your skin a bit.
Just kind of.
Yeah, I like it because you get stable, but its most important thing is you feel comfortable, so you can just hold on nice and tight, or you can go 2 bands and cross them apart.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go underneath that.
And you get the
same thing as well. As long as you feel stable, you're good. Like
And then another thing, you know, when we do those primers before games, how do I overload that? I was talking to someone, they said, should I use a thicker band maybe to...
Yeah. So the primer the day of the game?
Yeah.
You don't want too much stress in your joints. So if you go a thicker band, it's going to offset some of your body weight. So we're using a purple. You could use 2 purples or the thickest black one over there.
And just reduce the
1%. And you actually jump higher as well. So it's good on game day.
Yeah.
Well, if you do play a little bit in the front row.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then another thing I had was, instead of the rowing machine for the hamstrings, why couldn't I just do a seated
hamstring curl? Yeah, both are really good, but I think we discussed it when we were training. As your knee extends, it's getting harder and harder because the lever arm, the moment arm is increasing. So when we're sprinting, most injuries occur during that terminal swing phase when I'm about to hit the ground. So without getting too sciencey, the hamstring deaccelerates this tibia bone, and that's where we get a lot of our strains. So if you think about the hamstring curl on the rowing machine, when's it hardest? Here.
Yeah.
And when do we get hurt sprinting? Here. So that's the exact reason. So hamstring curls seated are great. Rowing machine is a bit more specific to you with that hamstring tear in 2023, and because you're hitting 9 meters per second, so we're just prepping those tissues essentially.